But, Ma'am, I have to get some Pokemon doll before everybody else does, 'cause then I'll be cute.
Can't it wait till tomorrow, hon?
But, Ma'am, I have to get the first one, and people won't think I'm cute.
All right, let's go.
Sweet.
Hi, can I help you?
Yes, I'd like a ham and cheese omelet or wham fries.
I'm sorry. We stopped serving breakfast, but we are on the lunch menu now.
I want breakfast.
Well, you can't have it. We're not serving it.
So you said. Is that the manager?
Yeah,
Could I speak to him, please?
sure. Rick, there's a customer that would like to speak with you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'd like some breakfast.
We stopped serving breakfast.
I know you stopped serving breakfast, Rick. Sheila told me you stopped serving breakfast. Why am I calling you by your first names? I don't even know who you are. I still call my boss Mister. I worked for him for 7.5 years, but I walk in here all of a sudden total stranger, and I'm calling you Rick and Sheila like you're in some kind of AA meeting. I don't want to be your buddy, Rick. I just want a little breakfast.
Oh, you can call me Miss Folsom if you want to.
Sheila, we stopped serving breakfast at 11:30.
Rick, have you ever heard the expression, the customer is always right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, here I am, the customer.
That's not our policy. You have to order something from the lunch menu.
I don't want lunch. I want breakfast.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm really sorry.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm really sorry, too.
What's going on, everybody? This is the Avenue coming at you with another Avenue rant. Yes, that was another long intro. If you didn't like it, tough. Don't watch the video. This video, just like the previous video, is going to be a public service announcement to all of my people of color. And I'm going to say this the way it needs to be said. I'm not going to bite my tongue. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you take offense to it, so the fuck what? But I want all of my people of color, specifically, I want all of you to be aware of your surroundings in the coming months, because we have a problem. We have a problem. Let me explain something. I'm the oldest of 7 children. Okay? 4 boys, 3 girls. I'm the oldest. And one thing I've noticed with all of them is that they're spoiled. With my siblings, they're spoiled. And they respond to being spoiled in their own ways. But what I noticed considerably from all of them is that the way they respond when they don't get their way, and how their spoiled child syndrome manifests itself, and the temper tantrums that they throw when they don't get their way. Some of them respond by crying and falling out and cursing and being disrespectful, and others respond by being violent. Okay? Well, in the past 30 days, we've had a spate of homicides, mass murders. We've had a young man in Colorado shoot up a movie theater while people were at the movies watching the film The Dark Knight. We have another man who shot up a Sikh temple 2 weekends ago before he was killed by the police. And we have a series of police shootings. We have a mentally ill black man in Michigan who was shot approximately 46 times by the police. He brandished a knife. He didn't cut anybody, but he was shot 46 times. He seemed dangerous enough to warrant being shot 46 times. And then I was in the gym this morning and I saw a news clip of a black man in Jonesboro being pulled over by the police. All of this on dash cam. He was removed from his truck. He was taken out of his truck. He was handcuffed and placed in the back of the police car. Then the camera goes off, so we can't see where this man was shot in the back seat of this police car, and the police claim that he accidentally shot himself. All right, so I'm going to get to the crux of this video, and that is simply we have white men who are acting out and throwing violent temper tantrums. Why are they throwing violent temper tantrums? Okay, I'll tell you why. We are in the middle of an election year, and it looks very likely that Barack Hussein Obama, 44th President of the United States and the first African American President of the United States, may possibly be reelected. And a lot of people feel uneasy with that. Okay? So what they're doing now by not acting violent, by being violent, because they're not acting anything, they're being violent, they're killing people in cold blood and don't give a shit. They're trying to intimidate. They're trying to intimidate people by saying, hey, you're going to let us have our way or we're going to kill you. And as Dr. Dre would say, a gotta make any nigga civilized. Okay? If you noticed when President Obama was inaugurated, his first set of rallies and speeches, he had Tea Partiers at those rallies and speeches armed. What they were doing, they were trying to intimidate him. And when I saw this, I laughed. I was like, when have these people ever gone to a George Bush or a Ronald Reagan speech or rally armed with high-powered rifles? Never. But the black president, they're at his rallies and speeches armed. They've been doing this for several years now. And then we're getting these reports from the Southern Poverty Law Center that there's a rise in right-wing militias and white supremacist organizations. They are trying to intimidate black people, number one, from voting for President Obama. And they're trying to intimidate President Obama from enacting any laws that they feel may work against white people. What they want is a return to the salad days of the Bush-Reagan administrations, where during these administrations, white people were given free reign to do whatever the fuck they want, or so they thought. And they were basically spoiled, even though a lot of this spoiling was to their detriment. Okay? And just like with the spoiled child, now when they're not allowed to get their way anymore, they want to throw a tantrum. And in the most extreme set of circumstances, they want to resort to violence in order to ensure that they're allowed to have their way. What I say to you black people is prepare yourselves, okay, in any way that you see fit, because it's going to get worse before it gets better. All right? You have a lot of them going to get military training, gun training, firearms training, martial arts training, and they're preparing themselves for their grand violent onslaught, their grand tantrum. When they don't get their way. Understand something. It's like the bully mentality. When you have people who are bullies, what they're trying to do is exert their influence over other people in order to get their way. When they don't get that, they resort to violence. They resort to violence. When people feel that their power has been taken from them, that thing, whatever that thing is, the ability to manipulate, the ability to disrespect people and get away with it, whatever it is that gives them their sense of power, when that's taken from them, these sociopaths, when it's taken from them, they react violently. Since I can't use my persuasion or my methods of persuasion and intimidation to get my way, I can't use the Bible to get my way, I'm going to be violent. And when you take their power from them, they resort to whatever they can. And in many cases, they're going to resort to grabbing a firearm and shooting someone. secure in the false assumption that I'm going to get away with this. Okay? I want you to be very careful. See, me personally, I revel in taking people's power away from them. I loved when I was in my class and my students would try to manipulate me, and when they couldn't get their way, they tried to react violently. And then I'd have to hem them up. Okay? But this is what's going on, and it's going to get dangerous, and you're going to have law enforcement defend them before they defend you. And to white people out there who take offense to this, I'm going to simply say to you, you need to understand the roots of racism. And that is money. Okay? And recognize again that you are being played. You are being manipulated to ensure that that 1% stays that rich 1%. Okay, that's what racism is. It isn't that you're better than us because of your race, because you're white. You aren't smarter than us because you're white. And you're not entitled to whatever you want whenever the hell you want it because you're white. I'm sorry. If you've ever noticed a child with spoiled child syndrome, if you've ever noticed a spoiled child, what ends up happening is when they grow up spoiled, they grow up to become immature, maladjusted sociopaths with an inability to do for themselves as they become older. Okay? And when it gets to the point where mommy and daddy can't take care of them, they are forced to live in a world where they're incapable of taking care of themselves. And so then they end up resorting to self-destructive behaviors. They become alcoholics, they become drug addicts, they just become fucked up. Don't do this to yourselves. Don't do this to yourselves, white people. Okay? Learn to live and let live. Okay? If you aren't getting your way, you need to find out why you aren't getting your way and what you need to do to get your way. And killing people is not going to get you your way. Because while many people of color are stupid enough to say we shall overcome and kumbaya after you've massacred their families and friends and loved ones, you have other black people who will say, I'm going to protect myself by any means necessary. And so while you brandish a firearm at them, you're liable to get a bullet in your ass. Okay? You have those who sing kumbaya and we shall overcome and I forgive you for shooting the shit out of us. And then you have other ones who say, you got me fucked up. You trying to take my life, I'm going to take your motherfucking head off. Okay? So, get over this paranoia. If you don't like this paranoia that this is soon going to become a black and Mexican world. Okay? Because I know you guys watch Fox News and CNN and they're telling you that white people are soon going to become the minority in this country. And you feel like your power is being taken from you. All the shit that you were allowed to get away with at the turn of the century, the 20s, the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, you're not being able to get away with now. Well, what you have to understand is that what you were given then was wrong. The way that you behaved was wrong. Okay? And because you weren't punished for it, you feel that you can get away with it again. And when you aren't allowed to get away with it again, you're indignant. You're like, hey, wait a minute, what the fuck? You guys let me get away with this before, how come I can't get away with it now? Just like a spoiled child. And when we explain to you why you can't get away with it, you sit around, you seethe, you're pissed. You want to fight somebody, but you're scared you're going to get your ass whipped. So you take it to the extreme, and that's when you start getting your hands on guns. That's the wrong thing to do. And I'm going to let you know, straight out of my mouth, I ain't no punk. You're going to try to take my life, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make sure that, number one, I preserve my life. Number two, you never try to pull that shit with me again. Okay? White supremacy is a myth. And I guess with the emergence of Barack Obama, that myth has been shattered. And a lot of you mentally and emotionally can't deal with it. And you fuckers are so emotionally out of control. You're killing people. You're killing your own people. You're killing black people. And me, simply, I'm not going to stand for it. And a lot of you, in the most common cases, You're joining police departments so that you can kill black men and get away with it. And I say like hell. The fuck you will. Okay? You can't stand the fact that you can't get your way. You want to throw a temper tantrum? I say this to you. Go put your nose in the corner and sit somewhere before I get my goddamn belt. Anyway, that's my rant. Y'all take it easy.